Joe, Anthony Russo, how's it going? So what's all these rumours about? That you want to direct a Batman movie? They're true. You're in talks with DC about doing an untitled picture. Really? And you want to do Batman? But the Batman already has a really brilliant director. You think you could do a better job? Can you just confirm to me that you said the term subverting expectations for Avengers Endgame? You can confirm that. Well, I can now tell you if you will be doing a Batman film. The answer is a big fat no. Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here and you. Are very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down. We need to discuss something major. So in the past couple of days, the Avengers Endgame directors, Joe and Anthony Russo, have said they want to direct a Batman film. Never in a month of Sundays, as far as I'm concerned. Why? Go and watch Endgame if you haven't seen it. There will be Endgame spoilers in this video, even though this is Wednesday's edition of the DCEU Daily. But one thing connects to the other, and we must discuss it. How could you even allow these people to get anywhere near Batman? Let's look at the evidence. In Endgame, right in Infinity War, they fleshed out beautifully the character of Thanos. Then within minutes of the opening of the continuing movie, they chopped off Thanos' head, went and found the previous Thanos that wasn't as fleshed out, that wasn't as interesting. He was just a bad person to stop, right? So that's case for the accused one, right? Now, all through the MCU, we have seen a beautiful relationship between Steve and Bucky, right? They took their middle finger and did that to Bucky, right? They said, you don't matter. Peggy Carter's more important. Bye, Bucky. Bye, mate. I'm going to spend the rest of my life with Peggy and come back when I'm an old man, when the whole thing is pointless. These guys should get nowhere near Batman or a DCEU movie. Now, I know they didn't write the movie, but they directed it. And they used the term subverting expectations. So what does the term subverting expectations actually mean? What it actually means is taking what you expect and give you something you didn't expect. Now, of course, if we go back to David Fincher's Seven, it's awesome because you've got this situation with this box. Now, Brad Pitt plays one of the coppers that the Kevin Spacey villain's against, and we find that actually it's Brad Pitt's character's wife's head in that box, right, played by Gwyneth Paltrow. Maybe Brad wanted to do that in real life after she divorced him. But anyway, the point is, now that's a real subversion of your expectations, and that's a beautiful way of doing it. But these untalented filmmakers of today see subverting expectations in taking something good and then bringing a political agenda into it to soothe what they want to do, to soothe the commentary they want to make. So in Star Wars The Last Jedi, they killed off Snoke because we didn't expect it. But of course, we didn't want Snoke to die if he's actually dead. We don't even know if that was the real Snoke. We don't know anything. But the point is, right, you have a great intriguing villain and they kill him. They surprise you. It's a shit twist. It's an underwhelming twist. And this is what, let me tell you, there aren't very many good storytellers or good filmmakers when you compare them to the quality we had back in the 80s and the 70s and the 90s, right? Because basically the modern day filmmaker is very good at sitting at a computer screen, editing and creating CGI technology and great special effects. They're not so good about, we're telling a good story. So we've got very few great directors now. We still have Ridley Scott, he's still making films. We still have Christopher Nolan, which is this generation's great director. We have Zack Snyder, who's actually a very, very good director who could tell a great story, but is also very technically gifted as well. So he's got it all. And what did they do to that director? They've literally driven him out of the movie industry, and now he's been forced to go to Netflix to do this kind of zombie horror movie. So he's still about, but he's not making cinematic movies anymore because he's driven away because he was too unique and too individual. But back when I was growing up, unique and individual directors were lauded. But this audience don't like unique and individual. They like clones. They like everything to be the same. So my case for saying that Joe and Anthony Russo should never, ever be involved with the DCEU or DC film is just go and watch. If you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, go and watch that film. And that should tell you why these people should go nowhere near a DCEU film. Everyone is lauding Endgame, but when it's all quietened down and the excitement level's gone and the box office talk's gone, you will see a film that betrayed the MCU fans, the Marvel comic book characters. It's an absolute betrayal. The situation I explained to you of Thanos, losing that fleshed out Thanos from the very beginning. The ridiculous situation on urinating on the beautiful dynamic between Bucky and Captain America, right? Bucky is hardly involved in Infinity War or Endgame. Ridiculous. I know they wanted to focus on the main Avengers, but he's been there since the first Avenger. If you look at the advised lists in order of how to watch, and then the MCU, you know, Captain America, the first Avenger, is the first film you're supposed to see. Bucky is front and centre there, as he is in The Winter Soldier, as he is in Captain America Civil War. He's a great character, beautifully written, beautifully played. An inspirational dynamic between a hero and a friend. And at one point, a hero and a villain, if you like, but he's not really a villain. He's not meaning to be a villain, but that's what they do to him. That's why he's the Winter Soldier. A betrayal, an absolute betrayal. And there's many betrayals. I wanted, and many people wanted Bucky to be the next Captain America. But no, they gave it to Falcon. Nobody cares about Falcon. Nobody gives a toss about Falcon. Falcon will be a crap Captain America. You know it, and I know it. Why am I talking so much about the MCU? Because it matters. When you've got Joe and Anthony Russo, who have self-confessed that they're probably not going to make another MCU movie, they're touting Warner Brothers now. They want to continue to be in the comic book game, and they want to make movies. But I am very concerned. And one of the other things, I want to talk about this because I want to talk about Matt Reeves, right, who's been busy for the last, maybe a few years developing the Batman, right? He's taking his time. People are getting frustrated, but he's a perfectionist. He's trying to give us the best. I don't think it's very professional or respectful of Joe and Anthony Russo to be talking about a film franchise that's already been worked on by another director. And I believe in the list of great directors, of very few great directors, Matthew Reeves is one of the best we have. Joe and Anthony Russo got involved with a very, very popular franchise. They're solid, good directors. They did a good job with Captain America, The Winter Soldier, probably the best MCU movie. But the point is, when you look at what they did with Endgame, to me, everyone says it's a great conclusion to this phase of the Marvel story. I don't think that it is. I honestly think they betrayed too many characters and too many fans. Now, the intelligent people can see it's an absolutely divisive film, but the rest are just applauding like seals and won't actually accept what these people have done. So in the final assessment, should Joe and Anthony Russo be involved with the DCEU? Absolutely not.